OTA day number 4 is in the books for the New York Giants, and we're going to recap it here on Giants Now by Chat Sports. I am your host, Marshall Green. We've got some important updates on Darius Slayton. We'll talk about Deonte Banks. Tommy DeVito had a good practice as well. Then we're going to close the show talking about Darren Waller and his potential maybe retirement and what that might mean as June 1st is around the corner. But a shorter practice for the Giants on Tuesday afternoon before they all left for the annual charity golf tournament and foundation event that benefits the Giants Foundation. The bulk of the practice, though, for the Giants today was 11-on-11 drills. So you got to see the offense go up against the defense. Still very limited contact. They're really just in shells. I don't even know if they're wearing shoulder pads. It looks more like a little bit of just like a girdle up top with a tight jersey, helmet, and shorts. So not a lot of contact. It's a controlled environment. You could take some things away, but other stuff just come within the flow of a practice. But I thought the number one news item coming out of day 4 of OTAs was wide receiver Darius Slayton finally showed up. He has not been present for any of the voluntary workouts so far for the New York Giants, as he is looking for a contract extension. He does not want to play out the final year of his contract with no long-term security. And I don't blame him for that whatsoever. The name of the game in the NFL is capitalize on opportunities when they're in front of you. And Darius Slayton's been on the opposite side of that fence before. Just a couple of summers ago, he had to take a pay cut after a lackluster offseason to remain with the Giants. Then he outperformed that contract, signed a deal last summer, and now he wants a new deal so he has some security going forward. And I think he has a pretty good case for it. When you look at the numbers that he's put up over the last 4 seasons, he's had a lot of success. 50 grabs last year, 770 yards, 15.4 yards per catch. We know that he can stretch the field. We know that he is someone that can take the top off the defense. He had 4 touchdowns as well. Had that 70-yard touchdown from Tyrod Taylor as well as that 80-yard touchdown in the last 2 games of the season. And he's led the Giants in receiving 4 out of the last 5 seasons. So if I was Darius Slayton, I would want to get paid too. But it's not up to me and it's not up to him. It's up to general manager Joe Schoen. And if you go back and listen to the quotes that Schoen said about Slayton and in a potential contract extension when speaking to the media prior to the NFL draft, he didn't sound like he was all that motivated to get it done, and he was willing to let Darius Slayton play on the last year of his deal and then maybe even enter free agency. If he does want a new deal, or if he does get to enter free agency next season, I'm thinking that Darius Slayton is looking at what Gabriel Davis got this past offseason and what Darnell Mooney got in NFL free agency this past offseason. If you are even a wide receiver 2 or wide receiver 3 now in the NFL, you're going to get the big bucks. And both of these guys, who I would classify as top-end 3s and low-end 2s, got a lot of money. 3 years, $39 million. And if I'm Darius Slayton, or I'm Darius Slayton's agent, I am pushing for the exact same, if not more, as the price goes up every single year for my client. You look at the stat comparison for Davis, Mooney, and Slayton. I put the last 4 seasons together to try to paint somewhat of a bigger picture. Darius Slayton, 172 grabs, 2,584 yards, and 11 touchdowns in the last 4 years. Gabe Davis, less catches, more yards, almost triple the amount of touchdowns. But Darnell Mooney has more than 40 more catches, barely 9 more yards, and the same amount of touchdowns. So if I'm Slayton, I'm seeing what Mooney just got. I want that same type of money. At minimum, I'm asking for 3 years, $35 million. If you're not willing to go all the way to 39, it's going to be not cheap. It's going to be a little bit expensive to keep Slayton, especially with the investments the Giants have already made at receiver. 6th overall pick in Malik Neighbors, 2nd round pick in Wan'Dale Robinson, and a 3rd round pick where you traded up for and you selected Jalen Hyatt. So my question to you is, should the Giants extend Darius Slayton before this season? Does Slayton deserve it? I think he does. That's not the question, though. Should the Giants do it? Type Y for yes, type N for no. Malik Neighbors and Tommy DeVito were really the only highlights that took place at practice today. We mentioned how it was a shorter practice before they went to the annual charity golf classic to benefit the Giants Foundation. But they said on Giants.com that there were a handful of catches that Neighbors got the Giants started with from DeVito. Remember, it was 11-on-11s. Daniel Jones has not participated in those. So DeVito and Locke, I assume, both got reps with the first team, and DeVito found Neighbors early and often. Brian Dable also spoke highly of Malik Neighbors and really the growth and the maturation that he's seen in just 4 short OTA practices with rookie minicamp also in his back pocket. Dable said this about hopefully the future superstar. Quote, "There is a lot of information to learn. You know that. He works really hard. There's a couple different positions that he has to move around and learn, but that's why we drafted him. So, good young pro, works really hard at it, spends a lot of extra time with wide receiver coach Mike Groh when he can, kind of like Jalen Hyatt did last year and Wan'Dale Robinson did the year before. So it's been nice. I cannot wait to see Malik Neighbors play football. I'm expecting big things from him. You select a receiver inside the top 10, you need that guy to be a wide receiver 1 by the end of his first season. And I am expecting him to do that. You look at the wide receiver depth chart right now, you got Neighbors, Slayton, Hyatt, and Robinson, and those are going to be your core 4. Those are going to be the guys, if healthy, that you're seeing get the lion's share of the targets, and the majority of really the production should come from those 4 guys. I'm expecting Neighbors to be clear, head and shoulders above everybody else when it comes to every statistic. Maybe Slayton is on his heels, or maybe Hyatt and Robinson are as well, and then that's a good thing for the Giants going forward. But they've made their investments so far with Neighbors, Hyatt, Robinson, Slayton on the second year of his extension. You need those guys to carry you when it comes to your pass catchers and your explosive playmakers on offense. The last part about practice that I thought stood out was Deonte Banks had a strong day, and he's had a strong camp, if you want to call OTAs a camp so far. And that's what you like to hear. You go to Giants.com and you read all these write-ups and you talk to the people that were there last Thursday. They say Banks looks good, said he looks more in control, more of a pro. He looks more of a pro. And he is. I mean, he was a rookie last year. He had barely even been drafted. He was a young kid. He still is a young kid. But he's finding the ropes, and he's just looking like he is, like he belongs a little bit more. And Dable has taken note of that, saying, quote, on Deonte Banks, it's always a big difference between year 1 and year 2. Obviously, he's done it for a whole year in terms of how we do things here, learning some new things of what we're putting in defensively, but he has the right mindset. He's working extremely hard and trying to do as good as he can. You always hear the Giants coaches and Giants coach and general manager talk about mindset. And you know what? I like that. The mindset of a football player can really determine the success they have, but that's besides the point. The Giants need Deonte Banks to be a legit CB1 this year. They need him to be a guy on the outside that can put handcuffs on opposing wide receivers, because you're going to play some good ones. You got to go against CeeDee Lamb 2 times a year, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith 2 times a year, Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson, and the weapons that they got in Washington 2 times a year. It's not going to be easy when you go to the AFC North, and you got to play some of those good wide receivers. There are good receivers everywhere you look around the league, and that's why you take a corner at number 24 overall like you did Tay Banks. You need him to be legit, and it needs to start this year. We saw some of it last year. I thought Banks had some really good moments as a rookie, and I thought he struggled in a couple of other moments, and that is to be expected when you're a rookie corner. Saw him get the best of Terry McLaurin some. We saw Terry McLaurin get the best of him, and I was okay with that. But I am expecting a sizable leap from Banks, and I hope, and really, we need, as Giants fans in this organization, for this time next year, May 28th, 2025, to be talking about how Deonte Banks is a top 15 corner in this league. If he is not, the Giants cornerback room could be in a little bit of trouble. You look at the depth chart right now, and it is still a massive question mark around who's going to be that outside boundary corner on the opposite side of Deonte Banks. We've heard pretty much every coach on the staff give confidence to Cordell Flott and him being that guy. But he's got to go out and earn it. And if he does win the job, he's got to do the work and really give you production on the field to keep that job. It's one thing to win the job, and it's 2 things to keep the job. And he needs to do that as a former third-round pick. I don't think Trey Hawkins is ready. Maybe David Long Jr. will get a crack at it. Andrew Phillips sounds like he's going to be more of a slot guy. So it's going to be Flott, McLeod, Hawkins, and Long as really all competing for that second outside corner position. Giants OTAs has a couple more practices left. They'll be back on the practice field on the 29th, then 31st, then June 3rd, 4th, and 6th and 7th. Then they'll close that up, and then mandatory minicamp starts June 11th, 12th, and 13th. And I think that is when we will get our answer on Darren Waller, and we'll see who else has not shown up. I don't don't think I've heard Raheem Nunez-Rochez's name shown up yet. Haven't seen a lot of Daniel Bellinger as well. Not here reporting that they haven't been at practice, but I do know they've missed some. That's just the information that I've gotten. I've done a little research on that. But we will know who's holding out, who wants to be here, and who's ready to rock and roll for when the season starts on June 11th. We're going to talk about Darren Waller coming up in a second and what his retirement may mean for the Giants and himself. But if you're looking for the best Giants news, rumors, injury updates, anything Big Blue, subscribe to the channel right now and help us get to our goal of 50,000 subscribers. It's right there, and we need your help. So hit that sub button. All righty, Darren Waller, as we know, is really contemplating retirement. And from everything I have heard, it sounds like he is going to retire. And that could change. The guy could wake up tomorrow and say, I am ready to play football again. I'm going to give him as much time as he needs. That is his decision to make. But this date right here is very important. June 1st. If he retires after June 1st, you save $11.2 million in cap space. If you cut him after June 1st, it's $11.2 million in cap space. So that's a big decision that he's going to have to make that will have huge ramifications on the Giants. And I say all that to say, I hope Darren Waller plays. Like, I understand, and I've said it before, and I even made a video about it, and we've talked about it at length. I want to see Theo Johnson play. I want to see Daniel Bellinger play. But let's call a spade a spade. Darren Waller's the best tight end on this team, and he actually had a pretty decent year last year when he actually did play and he was healthy. And I think it was through week 7 he was the number one receiver and number one tight end in receiving yards and receptions. You look at the first 8 games of the season. We know that injuries are always going to be a part of his problem, but what happens if you get Waller healthy again for 10 more games next year and he produces kind of to the same level? Would I be a little bit disappointed? Yeah, but he's a good football player, and Giants are probably better with him. Had a big game in week 2, 6 receptions, 76 yards against Arizona. He looked good, I thought, against the Miami Dolphins. 8 grabs for 86 yards. He should have had the game-winning touchdown against the Buffalo Bills, but the refs didn't throw a flag, and the DB mugged him. The next week, he followed it up with 7 receptions for 98 yards and a touchdown against Washington, and then he started to get hurt and didn't play all that much. Then he didn't play from week 7 to week 14. Then he was back in action in week 15, and he finished up the season like this. Is he the same dynamic, game-changing athlete that he was with the Las Vegas Raiders? No, I'm not sure that Darren Waller still exists. And that's unfortunate because the Giants did give up a third-round pick for him, pick number 100 overall. But is he someone that can still come in, give you really just some juice on the offense? I think that he is that type of guy. I'm just trying to check something real quick. No, that was right. Yeah, look, Giants, you look at the tight end depth chart. And, let's just be honest. He's the best tight end on this team. Darren Waller actually puts some fear into opposing defenses. And defensive coordinators have to game plan for him as well. And if you could have an offense with Waller and Slayton and Neighbors and Hyatt and Robinson, you're actually cooking with a little bit of gas. And I'm not saying you're not if Bellinger and Johnson are out there. The Giants are better with Waller. It is what it is. I'm going to respect his decision. I'm going to give him the time he needs. We know Darren Waller's been through a lot, man. I'm thinking about the guy all the time. I'm hoping for the person Darren Waller gets back on track. But, yeah, I do want him to play football this year for the Giants because that means the Giants are going to have a good football player on their team. Do you want Darren Waller to play this year? There's a lot that goes into that. You could save $11 million. You could play Bellinger and Theo Johnson. Or you could just have the guy that you gave a third-round pick for to play, who's actually pretty dang good at football. Type P for play, type R for retire. Let me know what you think. And make sure to hit me up over on social media. Trying to grow my Twitter, trying to grow my Instagram. I'm running out of words to say. Hit me up over there, and let's go Big Blue.